Informational item number 7 is the informational presentation by Circulate San Diego on Walk Audits. If you are watching on TV or the live stream online and you'd like to dial in the meeting to speak, please call 1-669-254-5252, inputting webinar ID 160-976-1371#. Chair.
Thank you, Sarah. And just an additional word of introduction for this final information item. We're joined by Circulate San Diego. They're going to be presenting an overview of their Walk Audit program. And we requested this presentation because one of the things I hear regularly from community members is about pedestrian safety, particularly during school drop-offs and pickup times. A lot of parents feel uneasy about letting their children walk to school due to the risks that they perceive as it relates to intersections or fast-moving traffic. We also hear from seniors, people with disabilities, sometimes feeling vulnerable crossing the streets. And this Walk Audit program can help to identify locations that would benefit from safer crossings and traffic calming measures and ensure compliance with ADA accessibility standards. So really looking forward to hearing more, and we will invite you to introduce yourselves for the record and let us know how much time you would like, and please feel free to begin your presentation.
Well, thank you very much for having us. Walk audits are informative. They're useful. They really are a unique and important way to get a perspective on how a environment that you walk around or bike around works. We're going to talk about that today. I'm Will Moore. I am policy counsel with Circulate San Diego. Circulate San Diego is a nonprofit here in San Diego, serves the San Diego region. You see me here in this room and that room over there kind of a lot, but most of Circulate is actually the planning department. So I'm going to introduce my planning colleagues, and good news, they're going to do most of the presentation today. Carlisle Dockery is our director of planning, and Sierra Johnson is one of our associate planners. We are going to talk today about how walk audits work, how they're done, why they're done. I'm going to pass it in a moment to Carlisle to get into that, and then Sierra Johnson will be talking about the technical aspects of how we put together kind of the meat of them. When I put this presentation together, I got really enthusiastic because I love these things, and I might have put in a little more in the slides that needed to be in there. So we're just going to do about the first 2/3 of it for the purpose of time, probably about 10 minutes, so we don't have people drifting off. And with that, I will pass it over to Carlisle to talk about walk audits, which are the most fun thing you can do with the word audit in them.
Great. Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate the introduction, and thank you all for inviting us here today. We're really excited to be here. We are lucky enough to be able to lead walk audits or walking field trips across the county, but we typically get to lead a lot in the city thanks to an OTS contract that we have with the city of San Diego. We utilize these as opportunities to jointly do community engagement around pedestrian safety and bicycle safety, as well as to educate folks on the importance of the built environment on our street safety. So anyone's open to participate. We often partner with a particular community group or school class or senior center. Sometimes we're approached by particular groups who are interested in having one of these. Other times we'll target specific areas based on crash data or reports of near misses. And we open them to anyone up who would like to join. These are great ways to get people interested in these topics and identify safety concerns in the area. So some of the things that we look for on these walks, a lot of times we'll focus on sort of key areas of crossings, sidewalk safety, pedestrian comfort, and bike safety. But we'll also look at aspects of transit too if it's particularly relevant. So in terms of crossings, these are all photos that you'll see on the next couple of pages from walk audits that we've done in the past couple of years. We'll look at things like the quality of the crosswalk itself. Is the paint faded? Is it a high visibility crosswalk? Is it just parallel striping? Is it in close proximity to a school? Does it have high levels of pedestrian crossings? Is it signalized? Other things that we look at have to do with the quality of the curb ramp itself. One of the most enlightening walks that we got to do was with a couple of students in Pacific Beach last year who noted that they were having trouble crossing at areas that had diagonal curb ramps rather than curb ramps that lined up with each intersection, because they often have difficulties knowing which direction they're supposed to go and which direction they're supposed to cross. So those are things we also look at. This is an example of the curb ramp that I'm talking about, where it doesn't align with the crosswalks, but rather cuts diagonally. It's particularly problematic for folks who have visual impairments, who are relying on these curb ramps to determine when and where they can cross. In terms of sidewalk safety, we'll often look at things like width, surface area. So we had the lovely presentation on the sidewalk from the sidewalk folks earlier today. That's certainly something that we take note on. We also take note on the quality of the shade environment on each of these crosswalks, if there are obstructions in the area, if there's increased amounts of litter, so on and so forth. And this is often an area where we really rely on community input, because sometimes we'll walk somewhere at a specific time or after something has been done, and they'll be able to attest that perhaps it's not always the way that we're seeing it today. And this is an example of perhaps a street that would have wider sidewalks, better shade environments. Those are the kinds of things that we'll also look into. And then in terms of crossings, we'll look at crossing signal times. That's something that we look at a lot. Is there enough time to get across the street for everyone? Are there audible crossings, right? So if you're not able to see when the light has turned green or if the walk signal has turned on, is there something that notifies you whether or not it's your turn? And if you have to alert the pedestrian signal by pressing the button, is it something that's within reach? One of our favorite pictures is this picture on the right, where the button you'd need to press, you'd have to crawl through the bush in order to get there. So the students on this trip got a real kick out of that one. And this is an example of some other crossing and sidewalk capacity things that we look at. So this was an example of a curb extension that we spotted. Students were really excited to see one of these, as well as pedestrian refuge islands and a pedestrian scramble. So these are opportunities too. We love to point out the good stuff when we're on these walks, because there is a lot of good stuff happening around the city. And it also provides the folks who come on the walk with sort of a vision for what they can be recommending, for things that they can be requesting, for things that they can hope for and ask for. And these are more examples of sort of the things that we've seen along the walk, such as litter, bus benches without shade, painted bike lanes, sidewalk improvements needed. So with that, I will pass it over to my colleague Sierra to discuss sort of the after impacts of these walks, what we do. We don't just go on the walks, but what do we do on the after side?
Perfect. Oh, can you guys hear me? Okay, there we go. One of the things we do is build a tool, as you see in your screen before you. This is normally done with a Google Earth image. We take an aerial image of the area we're going to walk at. So this way you can put your observations, everything that you see on your walk, you're able to list it actually on this tool. This is really useful for when you do reports afterwards. And so the beauty of these tools is that you stay organized and you're able to see everything. So even though it's a Google Earth image, once you're there, you get really close and personal with everything that, can be improved, and also the nice things. You can go ahead, next slide. Thank you. So these are the actual resources that we use here at Circulate, our personal favorites. So Google My Maps is where we actually take our observations and we turn them into little icons. So that way they're easy to see. And whenever we submit our reports, anyone can use these and see these and see what is actually on the walk. So if there's, faded crosswalks, they're listed there. If there's missing crosswalks, they're listed there. If there's areas with no shade, and the lines that you see are oftentimes going to be narrow or wide sidewalks. We like to have them all and easy to see and very visual, so you can get an experience for what we saw on the walk. And then this one is called TIMS. TIMS stands for Transportation Injury Mapping System. We use these often to find the crash data. Oftentimes we use this before we even go on our walks to see what we're going to expect. So for example, right now we're at SDSU, we're doing walk audits there. We look at this, we'll be able to see the areas that we need to focus on when we do our walk audits. Oftentimes they'll tell you, between whatever year you're looking for in whatever city, it'll tell you who was injured, who was even killed, how they were injured or killed, if it was a car, if it was a bike. And so you'll be able to see, and it'll even give you an actual aerial shot of the intersection. So you're able to go see it and see why this incident happened. Oftentimes when it's a crash between, a car or a person, or a bike and a car, oftentimes it's pretty easy to figure out what happened there. So we use TIMS. You guys can always use TIMS too as a good guide for our next walk audit. And then when you're done with your actual walk audit, you can publicize your reports. We do this really often here at Circulate. I don't know if you guys have seen ours, but if you go on our website, you can find all our reports. But basically, these are our observations that we've done and also the public we work with. We take those observations, we create the observation map, we use the TIMS data, and we also write about 2 paragraphs for like what we've seen and also our own like ideas on how we can improve their particular area. Those reports often become fact sheets. Will oftentimes takes them and does policy with them. They go on press conferences, op-eds, and our personal favorites are like Get It Done or like Actual Vista. Oftentimes we'll go out there and put them.
All right, no, you keep going. I wasn't going to wave you.
I think we're at your
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that, with that, so as you can see, these are really community events. You see in all of those pictures, there are members of the community walking along with us because no matter how well trained the city planner is, if they're walking up a street by themselves, they're not going to get the context from the community that says something like, at 4 a.m. every morning, a truck goes through right here and nearly runs. So that sort of context you get from the community, you can only get by bringing people with you. So we engage the community. We report our findings out to the public. They're on the website at circulatesd.org/planning reports. These are the last couple of years. And as you can see, we do about 2 a month. And we try to do them throughout different parts of town. Really, there's no better way to gain an understanding of what it feels like to walk down a street unless you walk with some neighbors slowly taking those observations. If you're just walking down like you're going to the corner store, you're not really paying attention to, there's a transformer right here that I subconsciously walk around every time. And I will say the first time I did a walk audit, I never have walked down the street with the same eyes ever again because you start seeing things that you never noticed before. And so they're an excellent tool. They're not proprietary. Anybody can just go ahead and do a walk audit. You don't need Circulate to do it. We're happy to help out, though. With that, thank you to the planning team, which, again, is most of what Circulate does. I do the little tiny part that you see. And thank you to the council, and thank you for having us today.
Thank you very much to Circulate for being here and presenting this. I do have a couple of questions before I turn it over. One is for people who see this and would like to engage in a walk audit or suggest a location for one, how can people get involved or bring forward ideas?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one. Thank you. Anytime we're hosting a public walk audit, we will post it on our website and on social media. So circulate.org on our calendar page. For folks who are interested in collaborating on a walk audit with us, we absolutely invite that. They're welcome to send me an email. They can reach me at planning@circulatesd.org. We've also been known to respond to DMs on social media. So yeah, we would love to do that. We work with schools, community groups, senior centers, anyone who's interested.
Thank you. Sarah, do we have any public comment on this item?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've received 2 speaker slips here in the committee room, so we'll begin public testimony with Blair Beekman. And you will have 2 minutes to share your testimony.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman. I try real hard to learn the community process, and this was a great item to learn how to do that. Thank you. This to me really seems like great efforts how to better understand Vision Zero and the future of Vision Zero, how to use Vision Zero really well. So thanks. The work I do with surveillance technology is a future to be more open and accountable. And in our needs of public safety and bicycle and pedestrian services, a lot of technology is used. I think learning to point out the different technology in an area can be a really helpful tool to make us overall more comfortable with the conversation of technology. It's always been a very secluded, closed conversation, one of national security instead of one of community. And I think we're at a time to really change that and really work towards a real openness about our tech, and that it is a community effort. It's not a national security effort anymore. and the work that you can do to promote that, to share, what is public safety, what is bicycle safety, pedestrian safety with our tech, what exactly the tech will be doing. Just to have that conversation open and clear, I think is a real important purpose for our future, and an important part of what Vision Zero is all about, which is community harmony. Community harmony is a really big one, building a really positive sustainability. Those are important concepts, and to be open with our tech, it creates trust. We become more trusting of ourselves, I think, and certainly more than we have been in our past. I think it would help a lot. And this is the exact kind of program that can really help with that. It's kind of like CERT programs almost in a way. It has a really nice feeling about it. Good luck in your efforts that we can all build and grow a good community with these sort of practices. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Joyce Anyata.
Thank you, Sarah. Joyce Anyata, District 3. This was a great presentation. Wow, I was really looking forward to it, but it was better than I could have imagined. What a program. I love the word walk audit, and I'm a big walker. That's all I do, really, for my transportation. And I do walk audits. I never thought about it. All the time. You have to survive downtown if you're a walker, believe me. So I wanted to mention to you, please, one intersection that I struggle with for over and over again. First and Market. Now, they've improved, they've been tweaking that signal for, it seems, a long time. And I liked for a while where they went with it. But now, and other walkers I talk with, I'm going to probably use up all my time. I didn't want to do this. Other walkers I talk with say I don't get it, but I don't get it. The voice says, okay to cross Market. I look up at my light and it's red. It stays red for, I think it's 3 seconds at least. But I'm told to walk. Now, somebody said to me that it gives cars a chance not to run the light or something, but I don't get that. I cannot get the physics of that in my head. So if I'm wrong, I've got to talk to somebody on that so that I can knock it into my brain. But I'm really, really feel uncomfortable and unsafe at that intersection. Okay, thank you. So, crosswalks. When are we going to paint the crosswalks downtown, folks? People die because of that, the lack of paint there. So that's good. I'll finish on that note then.
Thank you for your concluding remarks. That does conclude your time.
Love to you. It was a great day, and love to all.
And Chair, I'm not seeing any hands raised in the virtual queue, so this concludes public testimony on item number 7.
Thank you very much, Sarah. This is an informational item, so no motion is required. And seeing no further comments, other than the comment from Vice Chair LaCava, which we're going to get right now, please proceed.
I was just waiting for somebody else to go first. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Will. I know you're recently joined Circulate, great addition to that organization. I think one of my staff went on one of those walk audits recently to see what they were all about. And I'm old enough to remember when it was Walk San Diego and Move San Diego. And that's where I first met Kathleen Ferrier, who was working for Walk San Diego.
Is she still on your staff? No. Sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah, I'm sorry too. But she's doing good work in electrical vehicle conversion. But she helped the community of La Jolla to figure out how to get pedestrian lights and a missing sidewalk on Torrey Pines Road. So that was a really great outcome. And I know so many of what you all do results in outcomes. We have limited resources, but to focus them where they can be most needed. And it can be often difficult to discern where those priorities are when the needs are located in so many different places. So the only thing got me a little excited, you kind of saved it with your talking points. How often do you file get it done reports as you're doing these walks?
We're trying to increase the number. It's something that we started to do probably a year and a half ago. We were doing a lot of community walk audits with the folks from Community Housing Works housing developments, and they brought up that they had been having some trouble figuring out how to use the Get It Done app. And so we pulled out our phones, and then we just thought, why aren't we just doing this on all of the walks? So it's not just been Get It Done. We've also been submitting MTS comment reports and have actually had success getting benches installed in a couple areas too, where we'd initially noticed that there weren't any benches. So we have increased the number that we're reporting those.
Well, that's great. I mean, there was an odd comment, I think, yesterday about somehow recruiting citizens to identify things was somehow bad or evil. But like Will said, there is no better way to visualize a problem when you're actually walking out there. So we appreciate you doing that. This makes it easier, especially now that the mayor has made such a commitment and Department of Transportation to get out there. And we're seeing extraordinary response times once those that. And as I like to remind people, my vision of Get It Done, without trying to be too much off course here, is it took all the anecdotal information we were always getting, the complaints from people, and actually put hard numbers. So we could actually say, oh, there really is 6,000 potholes or this many sidewalk problems out there. So this is huge. This is great. And like you said, to actually help folks that walk and kind of just accept conditions to say, no, you don't have to. This is a problem. Band together, make your voice heard. Come talk to us in budget season as we're entering now. So anyway, thank you for the good work that Circulate does and that all of you do. So I'll close there. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair LaCava. Councilmember Van Wilpert.
Thank you very much for the presentation and the excellent work. Will, always good to see you. And thank you for your service on our Civil Service Commission as well. I appreciate you.
Glad to help.
One question I have is about the curb cuts, and I was very surprised to see that photo where I have a terrible way to, bumpy plastic.
Truncated domes.
Thank
Truncated
you,
domes. I know
thank
this one.
you. I was like, there must be a technical term for this that I, as a lowly attorney, do not know. But yes, those are for people who are vision impaired. And so the fact that it points out in the middle of the street is a problem. Are there no codes for this when we hire contractors? Maybe that's an issue I should ask city staff, but when we hire contractors to build our curb cuts, is there not a code that says that it shouldn't be like this?
My understanding is that new construction, they do have to alter it to be aligned with the crosswalks. But I think ones that have not been recently updated, and definitely correct me if my understanding is correct, but I think if they're getting updated, they'll be updated to the correct way. But yeah.
Okay. I can just add to that briefly. Yes, the best practice is to have it be kind of that straight on. Sometimes that requires two different ramps on certain corners. Sometimes there's obstacles to that, existing utilities or other things. But that would be a part of ADA as well as our street design manual, which we're currently updating. So this committee should hear more about the street design manual update in the next couple of months. And that's kind of the city's effort to standardize both the public investments that the city is making in the right of way as well as anything that's happening on the private side.
Got it. Thank you. Also, when you're doing the walk audits, do you use the city's Get It Done app to report things? Okay, fantastic. That is the best way to communicate to us how to get things done. I appreciate that. I think those are all my questions, but I very much appreciate bringing this to our attention and showing us and getting young people involved. It's great that you get the students involved about walk audits and what to do. And thank you to Ms. Senyata for being a walk auditor every day. We appreciate you. I think those are all my questions, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Van Wilpert. Councilmember Foster.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And my colleagues touched upon, I guess, the Get It Done questions. But just so I understand, I'm looking at the walk audit from Lincoln. And I just want to understand from a process standpoint, because you guys did flag what I think are some safety issues, right? So, one, the crosswalks, they're faded or need to be taken care of, right? I would assume you would take care of that on Get It Done or something to that effect. But when we actually have signal timings that are off, those types of things, do you guys report those, or is there some coordination with city staff when there's something of that nature that's identified to where folks aren't getting ample time to cross the street and being stuck? Imperial's what's Imperial, 4-lane major probably, I think, something like that, if I recall. So how does that work when you guys are identifying things as you're doing your audits?
Yes. So we have, for some instances, submitted a separate ticket to the city's transportation department. Our first recourse is typically to reach out to a council staffer to package all of our reports together at once to see if there's any way to approach like multiple solutions to multiple problems. But yes, sometimes for the larger issues that are not solved through Get It Done, we do attempt to reach out typically either to the transportation engineering departments.
And I'm asking because just, we've worked with you guys in the past, and I just want to make sure I understand as we continue to move forward. Because some things don't necessarily are not going to get taken care of immediately, but when we have those timing issues and making sure lights are synced and certain things that come up during your walks, it seems like those should be something that gets taken care of sooner rather than later, right? And so I just wanted to see how that process worked. But thank you for that clarification, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Foster. Well, thank you again for being here, for the great presentation, and really appreciate your work and look forward to seeing it continue.
Glad
We
to hear.
will,
Thank you.
yeah, we will now adjourn this meeting of the Active Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meeting to the next regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.